Hey guys, my name is Massimo, and today I wanted to talk about why I have quickly fallen in love and also just addicted to Counter-Strike Go. I have never actually played a Counter-Strike game before this. I know, let it out on the comment section. I know there's gonna be many people that are gonna make fun of me, but this is the first time I've ever got involved in the Counter-Strike community, and while it took me around 20 hours to finally get comfortable to the controls, because it's a lot different than modern first-person shooters. Like, this is not a modern first-person shooter mechanic type of game, but once you slowly start to get the hang of it, and I wouldn't even say I'm really all that good right now, but it is such a satisfying game. Like, when you're able to go clutch, you're able to kill 3 people and then defuse the bomb. There isn't many things more satisfying in first-person shooter, or really in gaming in general. Like, it is so cool when you're able to pull one of those moves off. The one thing that I have quickly fallen in love with is the way that they've gone balancing out all of their weapons. You guys know that if you play Call of Duty or you play the Battlefield franchise, the way that those developers balance out their weapons is that they try to make pretty much all of the weapons on an equal playing field, so that one weapon or a group of weapons doesn't rise to the top. So you'll have a gun that may have a very high rounds per minute, that will be its strength, but it also comes with a lot of baggage. It will have a lot of recoil, it have a very long reload animation reload time, so that that weapon doesn't become blatantly overpowered. They for the most part try to make it so that if you use a gun, it's going to be competitive and you're going to have a fighting chance against other primary weapons. That's not necessarily the case in Counter-Strike, and this is one of the things that I had to quickly realize, is that if I'm using a low-cost weapon, because you have to buy your weapons in this game, if I'm using a low-cost gun, it's not going to be as good as something like the Ops, or if I'm using like the AK or something like that, I'm going to have to put more bullets into my enemy. I'm going to usually have to outplay my enemy in those situations. It does have its strengths and weaknesses, but at the same time, if you buy a higher cost weapon, for the most part, it's going to be a better gun. I also love how they've gone about rewarding you for using different weapons as well, because if you use a shotgun, for example, or you use a submachine gun, it may not kill your enemy as quickly as the AK-47 or the M4, but you're also going to get rewarded more money for those kills. So if you kill someone with a shotgun, I think it's like $900 if you're playing in competitive mode, like an incredible amount of money. But if you kill someone with like the quote-unquote overpowered Ops, I hate that thing sometimes, but if you kill someone with the sniper rifle, you only get $150, I believe. So they give you the incentive, yeah, sure, you're going to be using an amazing weapon. The downside of it, though, is that if you're not able to get enough kills with it, or if you buy the Ops and you immediately die, you just sunk an incredible amount of money, and it's all down the drain, and potentially the enemy can come pick it up and use it as, use it for themselves and kill your entire team with it. And so it really does require a lot of thought on how you're going to approach different situations and how you're going to approach different rounds. Like, I was not expecting there to be this amount of metagame in Counter-Strike. Like, it's a first-person shooter. Like, how much metagame is there going to be? But like, when you play competitively, you really have to think about what the enemy is going to buy different gear depending on what you think that they're going to buy, and then if you're having a hard round or if you want to have a risky round, you can buy a different weapon depending on the playstyle that you're looking for, or if, the risk-reward type of system. Like, it is incredibly complex, and honestly, I don't even, like, I watched a bunch of videos just to try to get a brief understanding, and I think I have a little bit of a grasp of it, but I was not expecting the insane amount of metagame in Counter-Strike Go. The one thing, though, that I've had a hard time getting used to is not being able to aim down sight. I know a lot of Counter-Strike veterans will be like, well, that's what Counter-Strike is all about. If you don't like it, then don't play Counter-Strike. And I get that. But modern first-person shooters have really trained me to aim down sight when I'm going to take someone out. And also really messes with my controls as well, because when I am running around, let's say in Battlefield 4, and I'm just hip firing, my sensitivity is higher than if I'm aiming down sight. And so trying to be accurate and trying to take someone out who's, across the map in Counter-Strike, I'm finding it to be a lot more challenging than if I was playing like Battlefield, simply because my aim down sight accuracy or my mouse sensitivity is completely off in this game, and it has been a massive adjustment. And so while, the one part of me is like, yeah, I would love it if there was more aim down sight weapons, or that was more part of the series, I know that's basically what Counter-Strike is all about. Like, I get that, like, this is what I paid in for, I knew this was the experience that I was going to get, but it is the one thing that I wish was slightly different, but I do understand why it is the case. Another thing that's taken me just an incredible amount of time to get used to, and I wouldn't even really say that I've gotten gotten comfortable with it yet, is the recoil system, or more the bullet spread system. I wouldn't even call it recoil because there isn't really any visual recoil. But when I first started, I played team deathmatch. I was just trying to get used to the game. I was running around. I was trying to get as many kills as I possibly could just to get comfortable with the controls. But I would fire at my enemy. I would hold down the trigger, and my crosshair would be directly over the enemy. I would see a little bit my cursor would be bouncing with the recoil, but I wouldn't be getting any kills. I was like, where are my bullets going? Like, they're directly in front of me. I should be getting headshots. I'm lining it up exactly where they are. Why isn't this enemy dying? And why am I dying instantaneously? I did not realize that the weapons, when you first fire them, are laser beam like accurate. Like, if you're using the AK or if you're using the M4, where you shoot is essentially where your bullets are going to be going. But as soon as you hold down the trigger, you have this incredible amount of vertical recoil, and then depending on the weapon, it's going to bounce to the left and the right. And so when I first started playing, this was the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome, and honestly the most frustrating aspect of it, because my enemies seemed to have laser beam like accuracy while my bullets just traveled in random directions and I had no idea what was going on. And the game doesn't do a good job of letting you know the recoil of the weapon. Like, let's be honest, there isn't a good visual representation. Your weapon doesn't all of a sudden start to steer off to the left or the right like in modern first-person shooters. Like, you really have to go into the game and study it. You have to shoot against a wall, you have to practice against bots, you have to practice in team deathmatch, and slowly start to get acclimated to the way that the weapons perform, because there isn't any visual representation that your weapon is performing the way that it is in the game. And so while I'm slowly starting to get adjusted and acclimated to the way that the recoil system works, it would have been a hell of a lot easier if the game just had a visual recoil system or had an indication letting you know that your bullets were about to, move in a certain direction. I know a lot of Counter-Strike veterans and a lot of Counter-Strike pros out there that have been playing since day one are gonna laugh at me and be like, no, that's what Counter-Strike is all about. But once again, for a newer player who had no idea what was going on, that was one of the largest hurdles that I had to overcome. And when I went against players that have been playing since day one, it was a hard lesson and a very difficult lesson. All that being said, though, now that I've sunk about 25 hours into this game, it is such a satisfying gameplay experience. Every single kill, especially if you're playing competitive mode, feels like a victory because you have to be on top of your game, because people can die so quickly. Like a headshot with the AK, I think even if you have the helmet on, is a one-shot kill. Because people die so quickly and because you have to master that recoil system, if you're able to kill one person, at least for me, maybe this is different for people that have been playing since day one, but at least for me, it feels like a victory. And then because of that, if you're able to go clutch and you kill 3 or 4 people in a round, even if it's on casual, even if you're playing like casual game modes, it is just incredibly rewarding. When I play Battlefield or I'm playing PlanetSide 2, Call of Duty, these other major AAA first-person shooters, killing 4 people is great. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a good time. But you don't get your heart pumping like you would in Counter-Strike. Like, if you know that there are 3 people on the enemy team, they just planted the bomb, you're the only guy left, and you're the one that's able to go on in and wipe all of them out and save your team and get the victory, your adrenaline is gonna go through the roof. I love that about video games. It doesn't happen very often, and I don't get it very often in first-person shooters, but there's just something in Counter-Strike. There's just something about the way that the game performs, the mechanics, the complete package that really gets my adrenaline going, and that's what I'm looking for when I play a video game. It is incredible. But I would love to know what you guys think about Counter-Strike Go. Do you think that the mechanics are a little outdated? Do you prefer modern first-person shooters on the market? Or do you think that Counter-Strike Go is the best first-person shooter in the industry? Let me know down below. But that is about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and so until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.